Hello, you are listening to Disney Travel Tales, episode number 37. This is a space where you can escape the real world and immerse yourself in someone's recent Disney trip. I'm Jenny, and today I'm talking with Becky all about her surprise birthday Disney World trip. Her and her daughter Megan had a whirlwind of a weekend. They spent 14 hours at the parks and rode 18 attractions. It's such a fun adventure. If you're wanting to travel to Disney and make this the year of making memories, then let me help you. I'm a travel agent now and want nothing more than to help make your vacation magical. There are still resort openings for this summer and fall. See the show notes for a form to fill out so we can get that magic started. All of my services are free to you, so there's really no reason not to use a travel agent. Also, if you're enjoying the show, please leave a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. I absolutely love doing this show, and the best way to support me is to leave a positive review. It's crazy how much reviews help a podcast, and honestly, I just love reading them. Okay, so let's get going. Imagine yourself walking around Epcot on your birthday, and let's go. Okay, so today we are here with Becky again. She was just on a couple weeks ago. But today she is here to talk with us about her surprise 2-night Disney trip that her family surprised her for her birthday. So she's going to tell us all about it.
Hello again. I know, I feel like I'm constantly on here chatting with you, but I swear we didn't have this one planned. It was, a big surprise.
Yes.
So I tease them because I swear I feel like this is how it all went down. My birthday was this past Sunday, or whenever this is going, I guess it was March 20th, which was a Sunday. And the Friday night right before, my husband took my daughter Megan out to Target to shop for my birthday present, nice last minute deal. And I guess they couldn't find anything that she wanted to get for me. And she had been disappointed because the Christmas gift she had gotten me had fallen through on Amazon. She had gotten me this awesome, that 50th anniversary Disney World book that they had come out with.
Yeah.
But she ordered it, but then it never shipped from the person. Anyway. So then they hatched this plan. They went on to Disney's site and were looking at the prices and looking at all the things, and they're like, "Oh, we could totally pull this off. We'll just go home and tell mom, and she'll book everything up really quick." So they come home and they're telling me this, and I'm like, "You guys are nuts! What are you talking about? We're not going to be able to get park reservations. I'm not going to be able to find a hotel. Even if we can, it's going to be super expensive. All these things. They're just this crazy idea." But somehow we were able to put it together. We went on, and literally the only park that had reservations available for Sunday was Epcot. So then I was like, okay, well now Megan, we'll have to get you a park hopper because it's going to be more money. And, it was all fine. And then my husband was very kind enough to let us dip into his Hilton points. And so we booked at a Hilton Hotel right nearby. Which actually, honestly, I was excited to stay at because it's some place I've had clients stay that I've never stayed. So I wanted to check it out. And yeah, so we grabbed that. And then the next thing I know, and mind you, this is 9:00 on Friday night. This is 9:00 on Friday night. They come in and they tell me this. And so next thing I know, I'm up until 10, 11 o'clock, packing our bags, throwing everything together, trying to hunt down all my Disney park bag things. Because normally, I'm a dork. I have a park bag ready to go. How people have those emergency, a storm's coming, get the house, here's your, emergency bag. Well, I have a Disney Parks bag with all my things are just in one spot, my poncho, all this stuff. But my youngest had just been on her band trip with school to Disney. So she had half of my stuff. So I had to run around trying to find it. It was crazy. And then the next morning we got up, hopped in, we were using my mom's car because Mark needed my van, and we were driving down to Disney. So Saturday, we just spent the whole day driving down because it's about 11 hours here from the Nashville area. And honestly, I love the drive part just as much as I love the trip because, here I am, my 15-year-old is stuck in the car with me, because it was just her and I. going, I teased her. I was like, "Oh, for my birthday, you bought yourself a ticket to Disney because I have the annual pass." So it was like this big.
She's very smart.
Yeah. So we're driving down. Of course, since I'm driving, she kind of had taken over my phone. She was dealing with my phone, dealing with messages because she knew I was like, okay, I have clients traveling this weekend, so if stuff is going on, I need to know about it. So please, let me know if these notifications come up. And well, I guess she took it upon herself to then log into my Facebook because I don't log out of it on here. And she put a post up on my Facebook page, like telling people, she's hacked my account basically. And, we're going down to Disney. And if anybody wants to like send me a little surprise so I can get myself a treat while I'm at Disney. And she threw my Venmo account up on there. And so, but she had turned off notifications. So like I wasn't getting the notifications or anything like that. So I have no idea this is going on. And like occasionally I'd hear her giggling on the phone. Anyway, I know we want to talk about the park stuff. So we get down to the hotel, and let me tell you, if ever you are thinking about staying at an off-property hotel or need to for whatever reason, this is the perfect hotel. It was super close, great location, new area. There was like a little mini Target there, a couple of little like Jimmy John's, and I'm sure Taco Bell around there somewhere because they're everywhere, but a couple little restaurants like that, and a Walgreens. Perfect location. Free parking, complimentary breakfast.
Oh, that's nice.
It was awesome. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm squirreling all the way. So we get there. There was a little snafu with booking with points versus paying for it, but the guy working there, he handled everything. He was amazing. And then I felt bad. We were heading up to our room, and we started chatting with the lady on the elevator and walking down the hall. She happened to be staying across the hall from us. And she was talking about like, oh, you're a Disney person, right? Like you love Disney because, of course, we're in full Disney gear.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I'm thinking to take my son to Disney. Like we're planning to take him to Disney. What park do you think we should go to? Like he's 11, we're talking about all these things. And so, of course, we decided Magic Kingdom. And then she's like, okay. And in the back of my head, I just had to ask. I was like, oh, so when are you guys thinking of doing this? And she's like, oh, we're going to the park tomorrow. We're going tomorrow. And I was like, oh my gosh, do you have tickets? She didn't have tickets. She didn't have anything. Like, she just thought she was going to go and get tickets at the door, and go in. Oh my gosh. I felt so bad. I tried to, I logged on to see no reservations were left. I felt so bad for her. So they were going to have to change their plans. But anyway, but all that to say, we had the snafu with our room, and it took a minute to fix because we had literally booked the last room in the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
Up into the last room in the hotel. And then when I was checking for the park reservations for that lady that we met, there were no park reservations left. So, we must have gotten some of the last park reservations for the whole thing. So we were just, woohoo, pixie dust. So we got into bed, passed completely out. And then our plan of attack was to get up because I had to add Genie Plus to our stuff. So we got up early, 6:30 or whatever, started to get ready. I added Genie Plus on because I can't pre-purchase it with my annual pass, and we couldn't pre-purchase it with her ticket. So we got up, we grabbed a lightning lane for test track, and then because we were not staying on property, we had to wait until park opening to book the individual lightning lane that we wanted. So as Animal Kingdom was opening at 7:30, so at 7:30 I was able to go in and book the individual lightning lane for Flight of Passage, because even though, we wanted to spend the day mostly at Magic Kingdom, her and I can't go down there without riding Flight of Passage. And then I was doing something new on this trip. I did a lot of new things on this trip. I was very proud of myself.
That's so fun.
I know, different things. So we were driving.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't taking Disney transportation or even the hotel transportation. So we 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 drove over to Epcot. Literally should have only taken us 7 minutes to get there, but Megan had asked me a question about the Star Cruiser, and so I just was yammering on about the Star Cruiser and totally missed our turn to Epcot and had to like go around and do all the things. But so we got there. Park was scheduled to open at 8:30. Resort guests could get in at 8. We got there right around 8 o'clock, and we went through security. Then we had to go to guest relations to pick up Megan's ticket, so we did that. And the cast member gave me a happy birthday pin, so that was fun. Then we got in the area to wait to go in, and the Jaminators came out. I don't know if you've ever seen the Jaminators, but Megan's never seen them, and it was just so fun. Like, so they were playing over in that area where normally like Daisy or characters waiting to say hi to you when you go in. So she was like, "This is so cool," like I could totally see the Mickey magic working on her. It was,
yes.
She loves Disney in the first place, but anyway. So then we're joking about our plans because we knew it was a short trip. Obviously, it was a day. We knew we were coming back in June. So we're like, okay, these are the few things that we want to do. And one of them was Spaceship Earth. We want to ride Spaceship Earth. And it was like, well, let's get it done because it's right here, park opening. So we were joking about how we're probably the only people in like Disney history trying to rope drop Earth. Like,
Yeah.
The only other crazy thing I could think is like rope dropping Nemo or something, or Figment. So, but our plans were thwarted. The park opened, they dropped the rope, and we went up and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's not up and running yet," which makes sense because nobody's rope dropping Spaceship Earth.
Right.
So what's the deal? So then it was like my brain was like, the direction thing. It was all recalculating. I was like, okay, new plan. Let's go over to Soarin'. So we went over to Soarin', rode that like it said it was like a 20-minute wait. I think we were on in 5 minutes probably. And without even asking, we got the center screen front row, so
nice.
No leaning tower of, Eiffel Tower or anything. So I'm like, Megan, it's these dumb little things that are like pixie dust for me, getting to listen to the Jaminators ahead of time, getting the center perfect spot on Soarin' without having to ask and wait for it. So it was just a great start to the trip.
That's awesome.
So we rode Soarin', and then after that, we went over to Living with the Land because it's right there, and we literally walked right on the boat sitting there waiting for us. Again, we were very excited. We got front row of our section of the boat, like not very front of the whole boat, but the section of our boat, so we could put our feet up. And that was, of course, a lovely ride through there and getting to learn all the things about how to grow things. And they had cute, new cute things. I can't remember anything specific, but they had, new things for the Flower and Garden Festival in there, new little displays. They'd moved around some of the hidden Mickeys, things like that. So that was fun. After that, we were going to start heading back around the front of Spaceship Earth, like head that way, because of course, everything's kind of blocked off for all the construction, because we knew our lightning lane for test track was around 10 o'clock. But we had plenty of time, so we went over and visited with Nemo and helped, find Nemo and enjoyed that. And it was so funny because right as we were getting off the ride, like we got off the ride and then all of a sudden you hear, your ride vehicle has momentarily stopped, moving, or basically the ride had to shut down for a minute or whatever. So we're like, phew, like we could have gotten stuck on the ride. So that was awesome. On the way, we ran into a PhotoPass photographer and took some fun photos. And he saw my shirt, like I was wearing that "A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes" shirt. And so then he told me about his favorite version of that song and where I could find it. He's like, it's either Disney Mania, the Disney Mania CD, noting our age, 1 or 2, and it's on there and it's fantastic. So
That's so nice.
Yeah, so that was cute. And I was trying to give Megan like notes along the way. You know, I'm like, hey, anytime, you know, you can chat up with a cast member, I'm like, chat up with a cast member. Be nice to them. Like, they get yelled at by people for the dumbest things all day long. Like, be the bright spot in their day, or one of the bright spots in their day, and just chat with them and ask how they're doing and talk to them. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we were trying to do that a bit. Then, of course, Spaceship Earth was up and running, and it kept on killing me because my kid kept on calling it the Epcot ball. I'm like, nomenclature, kid. Like, how can you be my kid and you're calling it the Epcot ball? Like, give me a break.
That's so great.
So we got on that. There wasn't really a line. Like, it maybe was 2 minutes until we got on it. So, you know, that worked out well. We went through that, and I have to say, like, I love Spaceship Earth. You know, I love the nostalgia of it, and, you know, and I can appreciate it for what it is. But I'm looking forward to see what they do when they refurb it, when they kind of redo it, if that's still on the table, because I know a lot of things have changed. But yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward.
Yeah, I am too.
They do. So we'll see about that. I'm sure I would assume we're still going to be thanking the Phoenicians or something, but
yeah, I doubt they take they might just make it a little bit newer. The animatronics, update them a little bit.
Hey parents, do your kids listen to podcasts? Do they like solving mysteries and flexing their imaginations? Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is a new children's mystery podcast. Your kid can join Billy Bonanza and Susie Sockington on exciting and wacky adventures as they attempt to solve mysteries around their school. Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is available now on all podcast platforms.
Yeah, I believe they said, like, it's not like a complete gut refurb. It's just, you know, giving her a facelift. Yes. I mean, she could use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I let Megan do all the things, like picking where we're from and what we want to do and where we want to live. And so that was fun for her to do. And we went down and we were trying to find ourselves on the big screen, on the huge globe. And she found us, but then also we were featured on like one of those big side screens when they blow up your whole picture and put it on there. So she was all excited again. She's like, Mom, pixie dust! Like, look, we're on the big screen. I was like, and it's the most horrible picture. Like, that camera, like, hopefully they update that camera. It's awful.
It's awful.
Yeah, I'm like, I look like I have like a black soul. Like I have no eyes. Anyway. So where do we go from that? Oh, so we got off of that, and when we got off of that ride was slowing down too. And I think it was just a handicap loading or something. But Megan was, of course, thinking the ride was breaking down, and we got off scot-free again. And I just let her go on and believe that, you know.
Yeah.
So next we were heading towards Test Track, because that was what our Lightning Lane was for. But first, you know, we did a little bio break, and we were going to go to the Connections store, the newly revamped store there, because I thought our Lightning Lane was at 10:30. Thank goodness, like, I checked. I mean, it wouldn't have been bad or anything, but our Lightning Lane was actually at 10:05, and it was 10:05. And I was like, oh, we can actually go on it right now. Like, let's. Poor Megan, she gets nervous still on rides. You know, she's sitting there in the ride shaking a little beforehand. And she was like, okay, well, in the queue, she's like, okay, Mom, like, go through it with me. Like, what do we do first? You know, so I had to do that. I let her design the car. You know, she's like, but it's your birthday. And I was like, it doesn't matter to me. Like,
yeah,
go ahead, you design the car. So she did that, and we got on, and she had a blast. She loved it, but the thing wasn't syncing. Like, we linked up, like our car, everything linked up fine when we were getting in the ride, but then the system must have been down or whatever. So, you know, when you go through the test and then at the end, it like tells you which car performed the best. It wasn't lighting up there. So, that was a little bit of a bummer for her. Like, I didn't care. I just loved the ride. but I was like, oh, that's just because our car was so good. You know, we broke everything. They couldn't even, like, record our numbers. We were so good.
You broke the system.
Yeah. So we had a great ride on that. We went into the gift shop at the end we were on the hunt for a pin for her older sister, for Emma, because she loves, to her, they're obscure pins. But anyway, we were hunting for a pin for her. And it's funny, Izzy, who had just gone on her trip, she had purchased one of those pixie dust sticks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, those plastic ones that's like $6.99 for like an ounce of sugar or whatever. I don't know. Kid crack. And she gave Megan the pixie stick because she's like, you get free refills on it. And I'm like, really? You know, I was like, I couldn't imagine that, you know, like, nothing against Disney or anything, but typically, like, it's not free refills.
Nothing's free.
Right, exactly. I'm like, so, but we took it anyway. And then in that gift shop there at Space Mountain, or, oh my gosh, Space Mountain, at Test Track, it has the pixie stick thing there. And so Megan's like, oh, let's grab the thing and, like, refill it and la, la, la. And so we're over there, and still in my mind, I'm like, this can't be right, you know? And so I'm looking around, and yeah, that is not correct information. Like, it said, there's a thing. I mean, now mind you, it is not very big and bold, like, on everything. It's like down kind of on the bottom, like you got to look down and see it, but it says no refills.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, think about it. Like, you're literally, like, tipping this thing into your mouth, and then you're going to go up and put it by the machine. Like, they don't even let you bring your drink up with a straw to refill a drink. So just that end of it, I was like, there isn't. But yeah, there were no refills. Like, it literally said, and Izzy's like, we got home, and I was like, Izzy, there's no refills. And she's like, oh, well, me and my friends refilled ours a couple of times. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my kid's going to get arrested by the Disney for stealing
sugar.
I'm like, oh my God. And then, of course, I could just imagine, like, you know, tons of middle school kids running around Epcot all hopped up on sugar.
I'm sure that happens all the time, though.
Right. So anyway, just so everybody knows out there, free refills on the sugar there at Disney. You have to pay for it.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so at that point, after we scanned in for Test Track for our Lightning Lane, I was able to go ahead and book our next Lightning Lane. Now, I didn't actually do it until we got off the attraction because, like I said, Megan was still nervous about the ride, and so I was talking her through that instead of trying to grab our next Lightning Lane. So we got off the ride, got out of the store, and we're like, okay, let's pick our next Lightning Lane. And we realized, like, it's 11 o'clock, and we pretty much accomplished everything we wanted to do in Epcot. We were saving the new Ratatouille ride for our next trip. And so we were like, okay, well, let's, pick a Lightning Lane in our next park, because we didn't need it. Even though we had to stay at Epcot till about 1:30, we knew we didn't need another Lightning Lane there. So we went and looked to see if there were any for the safari at Animal Kingdom, because our individual Lightning Lane for Flight of Passage was at like 2:05. Like, it was 2:05 to 3:05. And so we thought, like, okay, well, if there's a Lightning Lane around 2-ish, whatever, for the safari, we'll get it. But there wasn't. So we just grabbed a Lightning Lane for Peter Pan at Magic Kingdom, because I know that sounds crazy, but that's a must-do for our family, is Peter Pan. And again, she's not big on some of the big rides, so, that's the reason for that choice.
Well, and if you are going to do Peter Pan, you have to use a Lightning Lane. Otherwise, you're going to be standing in line forever.
Oh, yeah, and think about it, too, like, it was 11 o'clock, and when I was looking to see the availability for Lightning Lanes, the first availability was around 4 o'clock. And that wasn't because the app was taking in mind that I had a hopper and that we were going later in the day, because it doesn't do that until you actually click on it. Mm-hmm. And then it will adjust the time because you're hopping. It was 11 o'clock, and already there was nothing available before 4. So I was like, Megan, we got to do that now, because chances are we're not going to get a Lightning Lane for that later.
Right.
So we grabbed that, and then our plan was, and what we did is we were going to go over to the butterfly garden and get to see all the cute little butterflies and get some pictures for my oldest because she loves that butterfly garden. We actually road dropped the butterfly garden on her trip to Disney. So, my kids and their rope dropping of these,
obscure,
yeah,
non-popular things. I think it's awesome.
Right. And on the way over, oh my gosh, this was probably one of my favorite things. On the way over to the butterfly garden, we're walking over, and all of a sudden, Megan's all, "Mommy, Pooh Bear's over there. Like, let's go see." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." Like, I was all excited. Like, okay, let's go over. She loves Winnie the Pooh. She didn't want to get a picture or anything because she was like, "There's little kids, and like, let them have their moment and everything." So we were over there, visiting and taking pictures of Pooh Bear, because he's going and catching butterflies, and it was cute. But, like, it's so dumb. My favorite thing of that was, like, my 15-year-old, who, I don't know if you have to deal with this or anybody else has to deal with, who normally calls me bruh.
Yeah.
Like, or bro, I hate this new bruh. I now understand what my mom felt when I called her dude all the time. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
Now it's bruh. So the fact that she was just all like, and it was purely like, not the whole, how they'll call you mommy and daddy, to get something out of you. It was purely just excitement and just, she was a little kid again. She's like, "Mommy, it just, like, so all that stuff was kind of my favorite part, like the drive down and getting to talk with her and all that stuff. It was like, I could see my little baby again and, not my sassy 15-year-old.
Yeah, you like had her in a bubble. You were in the Disney bubble with her in like a little bubble.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It was so great.
That's sweet.
Yeah. And so then we went through the butterfly garden and, it was early in the butterfly season, so not a ton were out, but there were some great butterflies in there. Like, absolutely, like, go in there and see it. Like, it's super cute and it's very pretty. Emma was all excited because I got a great picture of a monarch butterfly caterpillar. So
fun.
Yeah, which tells you about my kids, and they're like, she's obsessed with this, so it's kind of funny. So we finished up with that, and then we were heading into World Showcase. We knew we weren't going to be able to get all the way around, and that was fine, just because, again, we knew we were coming back later. So we decided we always go to the right, typically, because that's my whole favorite area. Canada, UK, and France. Like, I could live over there. If I could live anywhere at Disney except for like Main Street wasn't available, I'd live in that area of Epcot. I just love it. So we headed over there. I had a totally embarrassing moment though. So all day long, everybody's like wishing, happy birthday, because I'm wearing the pin. So that's totally magical, and I'm loving every second of it, And we were stopped looking at a sign for one of the food booths. And we're standing there, we're reading it, and all of a sudden I hear, like, just this very loud, like, "Happy birthday, Becky!" And I turn, and, like, it was just, so first of all, it was a little strange because everybody's just saying happy birthday, but this person used my name.
Uh-huh.
And I was hungry and a little blood sugar probably low, and I turn and I look, and I see the person that yelled it, and I swear to you, he looks exactly like my cousin's husband. Like, exactly like him. And I turned, like, I'm like, "What are you doing here?" Like, that was my first reaction, because, like, in my mind, they yelled it out so excited sounding, and they used my name, and then I turn and look, and it looks just, I totally thought it was my cousin's husband.
That's
and then he's looking at me all funny, and then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, like, because you used my name, like, I didn't know." He's like, "Well, it's on your name tag." Like, instead of him, like, kind of laughing it off with me, he was looking at me like I was a complete idiot, like, which was making me feel worse. Like, I get that, like, I was wrong and everything, like, I messed up, but, like, I don't know. I'm like, dude, don't further my embarrassment. Like, I'm completely embarrassed, like.
Well, and he called you by your name. That's weird.
Right, like,
you only say that to people you know.
Right, like, and the cast members don't even do that. Like, right. I mean, I don't care, like, obviously, because I was like, "Oh yeah," because I couldn't believe, like, how you knew my name. And he's like he even made, like, this, like, face and is pointing to my name tag, or my birthday tag, like, duh, you idiots, right there. So I was like, well, you kind of turn a magical moment into a not so magical moment, bud. Like,
he was probably day drinking.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Or he thought I was day drinking and was mad that, I'm being crazy around his kids. But I was like, oh, okay. So, of course, Megan, like, used that the rest of the day teasing me.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, happy birthday, Becky. I'm like, shut up. You jerk.
Oh, you gotta love teenagers.
I know. Like, goes from mommy, call me mommy, to, like,
yeah.
being a jerk. Yeah. So anyways, we were continuing on. Megan was very excited because they had the poutine there. And because I honestly couldn't remember from our last trip if the poutine was a seasonal thing that they had, but it wasn't, obviously. So she was very excited because that's what she had wanted. And so we stopped and we got that. She just gets the one with the regular gravy and the cheese curd on it. So she enjoyed that. While I was checking on emails, trying to, like, I was really trying to stay focused and everything. Like, I wasn't trying to take pictures for work or anything. Like, I was really just trying to enjoy it. And it was really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we finished up that, and then we kind of just quickly went through England. I was excited because both sides of the street shops were open now in the UK. And I believe they were on my last trip, but I didn't go through it. So we went through both the shops in there. We saw Alice was coming out to pick some flowers in her garden. So we got to see her. The shop was great. That I just could buy everything in those little shops in England. There's a great ornament over there. Like, I'm kind of bummed I didn't get it because it was perfect for me to celebrate my birthday, but I didn't get it.
Get it when you go in May.
I know, I'm hoping it's there. But with Disney, like, if you don't get it when you see it, it's like it could be gone later. But that's on the plan. That's on the agenda. I took a picture of it. And then we were leaving there, and we spotted the Tinkerbell topiary, and all of her little fairy huts were over there, and they're so cute and so intricate. So we were over there looking at those, and I did take a few pictures of those because I'm like, they're just so cute. Like, and that goes into everything. Just still blows me away. Like, after all these years. So then it was time to head over to France because I needed to get my citron slush from France. Oh, and that reminds me. So yeah, Megan did that whole thing with the Venmo. So we get to the hotel that night, and there's a lot of Venmo in there. Like, I could not believe it. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, you even sent something. Like, I was just like, I can't believe this. Like, people that, I just casually talked to on Facebook, people I went to high school with. Like, I was blown away. So I say all this not to be like, oh, look at me, I'm spoiled. Like, you got to do that for someone, like, if their birthday, just to brighten their day, or if whatever, just, if you ever get the chance to do that for someone, even just if you're not, like, blasting it out on social media, trying to get a ton of people to drop something in their Venmo, just, like, drop $10 in your friend's Venmo and, like, go get a Starbucks or something. Like, it was amazing.
It was so cute. I saw her post on Instagram, and she, like, did a selfie of herself in the car, and it was so cute. Like, it was, there's no way you could have seen that and been like, meh.
Right. Because, like, I just thought, because, I mean, so she's a 15-year-old girl. She's always taking selfies, So it's like, I figured I was going to pick up my phone and have, like, 15 selfies of her, like, bombing my phone with it. So I didn't think anything of it.
It was
and,
cute.
like, she had been texting my husband, so, like, when she was typing on it, I wasn't paying any attention to it. But yeah, it was so sweet. But one of my friends specifically noted that it was to get my citron slush in France. So I had to grab that, and we actually, like, I grabbed it, and then we saw the PhotoPass photographer. So, like, we were taking pictures. I was trying to hide it behind Megan because I'm like, I don't want my booze in this picture. But then she was like, come on, now let's do a cheers one with it, like, where you're holding out your drinks. So that was kind of fun.
That's
to do.
cute, yeah.
Photo shoot with my citron. And so I was enjoying that. Megan was hoping to get macaroons from the shop back there, the little pastry place back there in France. but literally the line was like out the door. Like it was out the door towards the ice cream shop.
Wow.
Any of you familiar with that area will know that. So she was really bummed about that. But I was like, kid, you literally just had, I forget, she had some sort of treat, and then we were on our way to get a funnel cake in America there. So I was like, we'll get it the next time. So she was a little bummed about that. But so we were continuing on because the plan was to go over to America, the American Pavilion, have the specialty. It was the funnel cake with the strawberry ice cream and the bits of cheesecake on it, because that's one of our favorite things. And so that's where we were headed. So we were headed over there. We went through Japan, and she was like blown away by the bonsai trees that were there. And she was like reading all about them. And she's like, Mom, like these trees are like really old. Like some are like 40, 30 years old and everything. She's like, there was one that was 250 years old. And she just couldn't believe it. You know, she just loved it. And so when we go back, I want to go through and see if there's any other ones in there, because Flower and Garden will still be going when we go back. So, you know, I was like, man, again, like, you know, I was just loving that she was enjoying it so much. Like obviously I know the kids enjoy the rides and everything, but I was just loving that she was enjoying all the little things that are there. So that was like an additional present for me. So anyway, so we got over to America. She went over and found a seat while I was there was a short little line for the funnel cake. So I grabbed that and then went and found her. Now, she had her phone taken away for a bit, but I let her have her phone for that. And I was like, you can go like on Snapchat and catch up with any dramas going on or whatever. So it was just so funny. I get over there and she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, you won't believe the drama that's going on. So literally we were like two little kids, you know, scrolling through her Snapchat or whatever, you know, inhaling this funnel cake thing. We're catching up on like high school drama because she hadn't had it all break. So she's like catching up from everything that she had missed on break, because obviously it was Sunday. The kids weren't at school, but
I'm sure she had a lot to catch up on. A lot happens in a week when you're a teenager.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And it wasn't like super crazy, at least for the drama, because so many kids were, you know, on vacation and everything. But since they all knew they were going back to school the next day, they were starting their stuff. Let me tell you, I don't even need soap operas anymore. I could literally just read my kids' Snapchat or something. It's scary though too. Like, I don't even want to start down that, because this is a happy, magical, you know, let's stay in our bubble. Let's talk about that stuff. But anyway, so we enjoyed our funnel cake, took a little bio break there, and went into the little gift shop that's in America with the, it's got all the Disney art.
Oh yeah.
In it. So we did that. After that, we're like, okay, let's start heading back out. So basically we made our way back around. We stopped at the pin shop over there, and Megan found Emma the perfect pin. She loves Rescue Rangers. The highlight of Emma's trip last year was that she found a little pin of Gadget. She was so excited about that. And now Megan found her little pin of Zipper, which is a little bee or fly or whatever from Rescue Rangers. And it had the Rescue Rangers, like it was a 2-pin thing. So we were both so excited to find that. And then like we just kind of went through some of the shops. I wanted to go through the Connections store on the way out. So we did that. That store is huge and gorgeous inside. Like there's so much stuff in there. And we picked up a couple of things there because Megan was like, well, let's get it now. Because again, Disney, you never know. And we knew, we're like, oh, we can leave it in the car because we've got the car. We don't have to carry it around in the backpack. Megan got this new fan thing that they have. They have these great, like, you know how they have those fans back in China, the paper fans? Well, these were like that, but they're like plastic and cloth.
Oh,
and
nice.
The 50th anniversary, like, and all the characters on it. And it's larger. So it came in handy, basically. So we got a few things there. And then, so for those that don't know, Club Cool is right next to it. And now, I don't know if you've heard, like, most people have heard about Club Cool and the free Coca-Cola samples. And there's a particular Coca-Cola sample that people try to get others to try and record their reaction and everything. And I've always wanted to do it to someone, especially one of my kids, really my husband. But I've never been able to do it. So I was like, oh, hey, Megan, like, this was perfect because it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's you're coming out. There was nobody in there. I was like, hey, let's go get, like, I'm like, those are free samples of Coke. Like, let's, you know, and they're from, like, all over the world and everything. I'm like, let's go try it. I was like, there's one in particular that people talk about all the time. Like, I wasn't going to lie to her and say it was great. I'm like, people talk about it all the time, and everybody has to try it. Let's go in. So she's like, okay. And so I'm like, oh, there it is. It's right there. I don't want to give it away in case somebody wants to try to do this to someone. I'm like, you can private message Jenny to find out what it is.
Yes.
If you don't know what it is. So she goes and she fills it up, and like I'm holding my phone trying to record her and everything. She's like, oh, here, Mom. And I'm like, no, you try it first. Like, you know, whatever. Oh, it was perfect. Perfect. You know, she took the sip and she's like, and she took a big sip too. Like, she just didn't know. She took a big sip and she was just like, her face that she made, and like, she's like, oh, like, that's disgusting. And then she turns, she's like, are you recording? And I couldn't help it. I'm dying laughing. I'm like, and you just made my trip. Like, I was so excited to be able to pull that off. She's like, that's awful, Mom. Like, why would you do that? So I quickly got her another one. I'm like, here's like a Sprite. Like, drink that. Like, get it out of there. But
it's like a rite of passage. A rite of Disney passage.
Yeah, it was just awesome. I just loved it. So yeah, that was one of my highlights of our Epcot day there.
That's so funny.
So next on the agenda, so it was about 1:15-ish. Now, of course, you know, we can't hop over to the next park until 2, but I was like, well, let's just head over there, you know, take the time, obviously, to walk out and all that jazz. So it was great. Like, I loved actually having the car there. We probably couldn't do this in the summertime, later in the summertime, because it's just too hot for the car. But like, we had a case of water in there, and so we were able to drop our stuff there in the car, redo our water bottles, and, you know, basically unload stuff that we didn't need and load up stuff that we did need for the next park. So that was really nice to use. Now, at this point of the day, though, there's actually more traffic on the road than there was earlier in the day. So that part I wasn't enjoying so much, because you've got a lot more of the park buses, you know, and all the cars, and a lot of people not knowing where they're going, because it's new there. So I can definitely see some advantages of having a car and property, but then I also probably will still just want to use Disney transportation.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts on that. But so yeah, so we headed over to Animal Kingdom, got over there, and we got there right before 2. And like, I know you can kind of enter in a little bit before 2 sometimes, like, depending. And when I say a little bit, I mean like 5 or 10 minutes before 2. But it was a little hot, and so we were still enjoying the air conditioning in the car and cooling down. I mean, it wasn't super hot, but it was very humid. So we were enjoying that. But yeah, so then we popped out, and we had been thinking about, after riding Flight of Passage, to maybe grab lunch there. But then that didn't work out timing-wise. But literally, like, it was so funny. I think that is the shortest amount of time I've ever spent at Animal Kingdom. And it was killing Megan, because that's her favorite park. But we literally we got there, we went back to Flight of Passage, immediately went through with the Lightning Lane. Now, oddly enough, this Lightning Lane, or individual Lightning Lane, was probably one of the longest waits we had the whole time. And it wasn't long, like, it was only like 10, 15 minutes maybe. But, you know, because so many people had bought it, and like, depends on what time they all get in line. But it wasn't bad. Definitely wasn't, you know, 2.5 hours. So we were happy with it. But so we had a little bit of a wait for it, but then we got on, and then we had a little bit of a wait before the ride actually started, because I know for sure, at least in our area, there was a little kid that was a little nervous to ride it. And I could hear, like, the cast member he tried to do the same thing that he wanted to do, not him, but a cast member did when Megan first rode. Like, when we first tried to get Megan to ride, she was scared to death. And the cast member offered to show her, like, come here, I'll show you how the ride works and how the seats are. But she didn't want to do it. But this cast member was trying to do it for this other little kid. But he's still just, even after he showed it, he just didn't have it. So it delayed our ride a little bit, which poor Megan was still getting nervous, even though she loves the ride now. but she still like that adrenaline.
Yeah, get a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah, and so I'm like, it's okay, like, you know, you'll be good. She's like, I know, like I'm holding on her arm a little bit, and like I can feel it shaking, you know. I felt a little bad, but she did it. She loved it. Great ride, as usual. Just love that ride. We got off of it. We looked at the time, and we're like, okay, but Magic Kingdom time. Like, we didn't even take a single picture. Like, that's how quick we were in there. Like, I couldn't even believe we didn't even take there's no photographic evidence that we were at that day at all. So yeah, we were heading to Magic Kingdom. We got over there in like 10 minutes, I think. And Megan was excited because, like I told her, you know, we have to park over here and take either the monorail or the ferry over. And she had never been on the ferry. So she was like, yeah, let's ride the ferry. And so, we got to ride the trams. The parking lot trams are back. So, you know, I'm dark. I was very excited about that. Like, and I was also looking forward to it at the end of the night, you know, riding the tram back to the car. So we rode the tram over, rode the ferry over, got into the park, you know, and I just love that part. And Megan loves Lady and the Tramp, and she knew about the 50th anniversary statue. So I was like, oh, Megan, first stop, you know, we've got to go to the Lady and the Tramp statue, because it's right there when you walk in. And so she loved that. She's like, it's so cute. And it was just perfect timing. I'm like, okay. She's done looking at it. I'm like, all right, now turn around. She's like, turn around. I'm like, just turn around. And so she turns around, and, you know, up on the train station there, it was Pooh Bear and Piglet and Tigger and Eeyore. So, like, her favorites are all up there. And she was just like, oh my gosh, you know, like, it was just so cute, good. You know. Yeah. So it was just great. And at that point, we were hungry, you know, but we knew, like, we had our lightning lane coming up for Peter Pan. But so we just kind of made our way up Main Street, went through the shops. I got a mug there that I've been dying to get. And again, I was scared that it wasn't going to be there. The lady wrapped it good, though. Like, literally, the paper that she wrapped it in, when I unwrapped it when we got home, it was taller than me. Like, the length of paper.
Oh, my gosh. That's nice, though.
Yeah. So we went to that. We grabbed a Mickey pretzel and just kind of stood off to the side and enjoyed our Mickey pretzel, trying to get a little bit of food, a little bit more food in the system, because the funnel cake just didn't fill the whole spot. Now, mind you, we had eaten that day. Like, we had a big breakfast at the hotel. So we weren't, you know, starving, running on no food or anything. So we had a breakfast. So we ate that, and then it was time for Peter Pan. So we went over to Peter Pan, rode that. It was pretty much walk on with that, with the lightning lane. So that was nice. I just love that, you know, everything from, like, when the cast member pretends to sprinkle the pixie dust on the bar, and the bar comes down for you, and then you just, let's say, here we go. You know, I just love that ride. If you've never ridden Peter Pan out there, you got to ride Peter Pan.
Yeah, it's fun.
So we did that, and then we had to visit the best bathrooms on property, and Tangled is one of Megan's favorite movies. She used to think she was Rapunzel when she was little. So we went over there and literally spend the time, because she's only ever been there when she's been with her sisters or whatever, so they don't take the time over there. So we were literally walking around inside the bathroom where their stalls are, and, like, looking at the shelves that they have on the wall. And she was spotting, like, Mom, her guitar, Mom, her pottery, like, her paintbrushes, the 3 books that she was picking out everything from the movie. She's like, this is just so awesome, you know, and looking at all the artwork outside that she did. And so, yeah, it was just really, it was cute to see, again, 15 years old and getting all excited about artwork on the bathroom at Disney World.
They are fancy bathrooms.
So then, I can't remember when we booked it, but we had booked a lightning lane for Big Thunder Mountain. So we were headed there next. And I love that, like, sometimes you think, like, kids don't remember things from their trips, but Megan remembered things. She's like, oh, Mom, are we going to take our secret path? And I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I love that she thinks it's our secret path, you know, the pathway along the river there, going over there. I love that she remembered it. I love that she's still thinking it's our secret path, you know, and we're walking down it. She's like, Mom, I don't think I've ever actually been on that street part, like that area, you know. over by Liberty Tree. So anyway, so yeah, we went over and we had a couple minutes to wait for our window to open up for the Lightning Lane. So we just hung out, chatted with her sister over text and everything, and waited there. We got on the ride, and it was so funny because Megan didn't know. We got down to the ride, and I got to the cast member. I was like, hey, can we wait for the back row? Because the back row is the best. Megan didn't hear me say that. And so the cast member was like, oh, yeah, just stand to the side over here for a second. So I'm like, okay, so we're standing to the side. And then, like, she's loading other parties of two from behind us. Megan's kind of sitting there with, like, this look on her face like, what the heck, you know? And then finally, like, they'll go through, load, whatever, and then she sends us to the back row. And she's like, Mom, what the heck? Like, why did she let those other parties go ahead of us? I'm like, Peggy, I'm like, I asked for the back row. I'm like, the back row is the best. She's like, oh, you know, she's used to asking for front row for those things. I'm like, no. On Big Thunder, it's back row.
Oh, like, yeah.
Back row is the best. And I told her, I'm like, and I feel a little bad, you know, because you're on here with Mom. Mom's a little fluffy, so the bar that comes down, it's not going to be like on your plate, on your lap. So you might get a little air on some of these hills. But she loved it, like, you know, and she wasn't nervous on it. Like, I was so happy, you know, because again, like, she gets nervous on things, and so she wasn't nervous on it. So
that's awesome.
It was awesome. So we enjoyed that, and then finally we were able to get something to eat. You know, after that, we're like, okay, we were looking at the menus, and we're like, okay, if we're in this area, when we're finally getting to eat, we'll eat at this place, or we'll eat over here. And she was hoping to eat at Pecos Bill's because she wanted the nachos. So we get over there and we get in line, and a cast member comes up. She's like, oh, you guys ready to order? I was like, oh, yeah, you know, we're ready to order. And, you know, she's going to take us over to another line. And she's like, oh, but can you come over here with me for a second? And now, mind you, if a cast member asks you to, like, come over here with me for a second, always do it. You know, always do it. I mean, unless they say, do you want to complete a survey? Because that might take some time out of your trip. But even then, if you have the time, do it. So we follow her over, and she goes over to, like, the center of the area where, you know, everybody's ordering. Like, everybody's in there picking up their orders, ordering food, all the employees working in the kitchens. And she just starts yelling. She's like, may I have everyone's attention? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, like, yelling. She's like, you know, every day's a special day at Magic Kingdom, but it's even more special if it's your birthday, and it's Becky's birthday today, so everybody, like, wish her, like, I'm both mortified, and of course I appreciate, like, I'm loving the pixie dusted moment and everything, but I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's staring at me. And then, yeah, the whole entire area, and, like, the cast members in the back, they're all, happy birthday, Becky, and, like, cast members are hitting the, like, pots and pans that are back there, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this was both mortifying and the best thing. Like, it was so...
That's so cool.
And then I was like, man, I'm just so glad it wasn't Emma. Like, Emma would have died. Like, she would have died. But we got our food, and we sat and ate our food. Delicious, as always. I got the bacon cheeseburger. I really wanted to get the fajitas, but they take time to eat, you know, put it all together. But anyway, so we got the burger, and we were ready to go after that. We're like, all right, let's do this. We had picked up a lightning lane for... This is going to sound crazy. We had picked up a lightning lane for Winnie the Pooh. I know, crazy, but that's what we were doing. So on the way over there, we were going to ride the carousel first, and it was Megan's goal to find Cinderella's pony on the carousel and to hopefully ride that. So we did actually find her horse, so that was awesome. But a little girl got on it before me, little stinker, you know, she scooted in there. I was like, all right, whatever. You know, this 44-year-old lady can wait till the next time. Ride Cinderella's pony. Like, all right. But we still enjoyed that, and then went over and visited with Pooh Bear in the 100-acre wood. And, you know, of course, Megan loves that ride because it's Winnie the Pooh. I love that ride, too.
It's so cute.
Yeah. It's the one ride, like, I've always wanted to be, like, have to be evacuated off an attraction. And we were evacuated off of Winnie the Pooh. And I was like, man, of all the attractions, like, I was hoping it was something a little, you know, that we would have gotten to see backstage. Or it was still kind of neat to walk off of it, but anyway. So we enjoyed that, and then we had grabbed a lightning lane for Buzz Lightyear, so we were heading towards Tomorrowland. And we were like, okay, we're going to go ride People Mover. We got in line for that. It said it was only a 15-minute wait, but the cast member said, oh, it's probably going to be more like 25 minutes. So we were waiting for a few minutes, and then we noticed like the ride actually wasn't running. And so we waited a few more minutes, and then we're like, you know what, like, let's bail out on this now. Let's just go do Carousel of Progress. And when we're done with that, we'll see if that's done. Mm-hmm. So we went over to Carousel of Progress, might have had a little nap. I love that ride, and I don't just use it for napping, but it had been a long day. So we rode that. When we got off of Carousel of Progress, People Mover was up and running, ready to go. So we went and rode on People Mover. And so we're on People Mover, and I'm sitting there like I was texting someone, and Megan said something like, "Oh wow, like you can see into the ride," and I was like, "Oh yeah," like thinking, like not realizing what section we were in, and I was like, "Oh yeah," like I was just thinking she was noticing something for the first time, and so then I'm still texting whatever, and I notice I'm like, man, it's kind of quiet in here, like it was weird, like there's no voiceover, there's no whatever. And I'm like, it's kind of bright, too. And then I realized what it was. Space Mountain was down, and the lights were on.
That's exciting.
I freaked my freak. Like, I know it's happened. Like, I know people have seen it. But to me, it was like an urban legend because I've never seen it personally other than pictures. So I was like, oh, my gosh. Like, I'm getting out my phone, like, recording video. Like, I'm like, this is the coolest. Megan, of course, is like, she's like, Mom, this is cool. But, like, your level of excitement is, like, crazy. And I was like, you don't understand. And so that was just so cool, like to see it.
That is so cool.
Like she doesn't want to ride that ride anyway because she needs to at least be able to see where the track goes. So that when she's looking at it and you see it with the lights on, she's like, I'm never riding that thing ever. It looks like a death trap. Like if any of you are ever scared of riding it, like don't ever look at pictures of it with the lights on because you'll never want to ride it. Like just go for it. And so we got through there, and she still wasn't understanding my level of excitement. So I'm like, I'll show you. So I text my friend Wendy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this. Look what happened. And I sent it to her, and immediately she was like, holy bleep. I was like, see, I'm not the only crazy person who gets all excited. So that was just awesome. And so we finished up the rest of our ride on the People Mover, and I got some awesome pictures because the sun was setting, some Megan on there. And when we got off of that, we still had about 20 minutes or so before our Buzz Lightning Lane. So we went over and sat and enjoyed the, oh my gosh, why is it leaving my brain? The Monsters Inc. laugh floor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we went over there and enjoyed that and had our laughs. And then we went and got on Buzz Lightyear. And I felt bad for Megan at first because, like, she does Toy Story Mania all the time, but she couldn't get a hang of the laser on Buzz. And I mean, I will admit, like, it's kind of stupid sometimes. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't able to, at first, shoot it very well, but then, like, the ride kept on slowing down and pausing. So she was able to figure it out, and then she ended up beating me, little stinker. Like, I was so mad. I'm so competitive with my kids. I'm such a jerk. Like,
I am too. Like, I don't let my kids win.
Yeah, no, I do not. Like, there's no, letting the kids win on it. Yeah,
even my 9-year-old, I didn't let her win.
Right.
She's like, just let me win. I'm like, nope, that doesn't teach you anything.
Nope, not at all. So that was good. Like, I was glad that she won a little bit for her, whatever. So then I think, I can't remember exactly, like we had grabbed a Lightning Lane for Little Mermaid. I know, again, crazy, but the wait had been long for it all day, and that's one of her favorites. But then the ride was actually down for a bit, so we changed our Lightning Lane to Pirates, but it wasn't until way later. So we decided, we're like, okay, we want to go get Mickey Ice Cream Bar and just go wait and stand by for Little Mermaid because it had reopened. Mm-hmm. And so we went over and we were at the like popcorn cart over there by Dumbo, and we went up and we're like, okay, we'd like 2, Mickey ice cream bars or ice cream sandwiches. And, of course, like the cast member was like, oh, happy birthday. And I was like, oh, thanks so much. I'm like, he's like, are you having a good day? I'm like, it's been the best day. I was like, the lights were on Space Mountain. It was just so funny. And I'm like, yeah, it's just so fantastic. And then like he's handing over the ice cream, and I was like, okay, like I'm pulling out the Venmo. He's like, oh no, it's on Mickey today. It says happy birthday. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like you guys are the sweetest,
Yeah.
so that was just amazing. You know, like it just, like I said, pays, be kind to cast members, and it's not always going to happen, you know, but don't expect it. But when you get that little pixie dust, you know, that's awesome. That's
Absolutely.
my first time ever getting free ice cream, you know, like that. Like obviously the free dessert at dinner that you get sometimes your birthday, but that was the first for that.
That's nice.
And so then Megan's like, well, Dumbo, there's like no wait for Dumbo. So we went and rode Dumbo, and that was cute and fun, you know, the little kid ride. And then she's like, look, there's like hardly any wait for Barnstormer. And I'm like, seriously? Like, you want to go ride Barnstormer? Okay. Like, I'm like, if it's more than a 10-minute wait, we ain't riding it. I'm like, you blink and you're done with that ride. But so we got over there, and yeah, it was like 5-minute wait or whatever. So we get on it, and she had so much fun on it. Like, and I had to remember, I'm like, yeah, that's her level of roller coaster, at least for now. Like, I'm like, I got to take her on Barnstormer a few more times, so then maybe she'll start to do some of the bigger thing. So I'm glad we did that. So then at that point, it was fireworks were about to start, and so, which we weren't going to stay to do fireworks, or we weren't going to go watch fireworks. Like, we were going to try to accomplish some more rides, which honestly is a thing I've never done. Like, I normally always go and watch the fireworks, so anyway, and I thought it would be neat too to be back behind the castle and seeing some of the fireworks. So we were watching that for a few minutes because that's kind of cool. And then we're like, okay, time for Little Mermaid. So we're walking through the queue for Little Mermaid, and it's all wet and like dripping water. And Megan's like, what in the world? Like, is this a new thing for theming? And then I remembered, I'm like, oh no, Megan. I'm like, at least I'm assuming this was it because I'm pretty sure. I'm like, they spray down these attractions before the fireworks, so that way if there's any embers that fall or whatever. So I'm like, this is what that is. And she was like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know, like she loved kind of knowing that. But yeah, so we went and visited with Ariel. She loves that ride. On her trip, just her and I, we literally rode it 6 times in a row on one trip, so that was fun. So we went and did that, and at that point, you know, I was getting a little tired. You know, I know the park was open until 11, but you know, we had driven all the way down. I was getting run down, and I was thinking, I'm like, okay. And she kept on asking me like, how long the line was for Seven Dwarfs, because we really wanted to do Seven Dwarfs. And so I was like, hey Megan, like Seven Dwarfs is a 65-minute wait right now. I was like, our lightning lane for Pirates isn't until such and such a time. I can't remember. I was like, even if the line truly is 65 minutes long, if we go and ride this, that still leaves us like a half an hour of our lightning lane time for Pirates. So I was like, why don't we go just wait in this line? She's like, okay. And I was like, but we have to get over there before the fireworks finish, because then, you know, the masses of people are going to come back here. So literally, like, we kind of just literally take our first step walking over there, and we realize, oh my gosh, the fireworks have ended. So then we're like running. You don't run at Disney. You walk fast. Speed walk. Yeah, gotta be safe. So we got over there as fast as we can. Like literally, we get in line. We're like, oh my gosh, you know. And the cast member's like, all right, yeah, it's a 65-minute wait. And I'm looking, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's a 65-minute wait. Like, I've gotten in line for this ride, like when it's been all the way down by the teacups, and it was like a 55-minute wait.
Yeah.
We were like it was still just like regular inside the queue thing.
Oh yeah, that's not 65 minutes.
And like I know that now with Lightning Lane, like it kind of slows it down because they stop the regular lane to let Lightning Lane in. But I was like, this still, I mean, can't be 65 minutes. We were in the line, rode the ride, exiting the ride, 25 minutes. I was like, yeah.
I feel like they bumped that time up because we've never actually waited the actual time listed. It's always been shorter.
Right. And I think maybe they do that just to like, okay, get people not to wait in it and go visit some of the other attractions to help lessen it.
Yep.
Who knows? But so we enjoyed it. We loved it. We had people in our cart that they were very much the like shaking the cart forth, you know, so we had a good shaking back and forth going on there. It was a great ride. And then at that point I was like, hey, like kid, like I know we've got the Pirates thing and everything, but your old mom, like, I'm run down. You know, it was, I haven't done a full park day like that in a long time. Just because I'm lucky, I get to go often, so I don't typically do a full park day like that. So I was like, if we go over and ride Pirates, we're not going to be able to go into the shops after because it's just going to be crazy or whatever. So I was like, let's just, head down. And she was completely fine. Like, I think she was tired too, but I think she was trying to like do all the things to make my day amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't need to do anything more to make my day amazing. So we went through, like, we walked through the castle because we weren't able to do that earlier because they had the show going on. So we walked through the castle, took a couple of selfies, doing that. With quick bathroom break, we found somebody's ticket on the ground. So we handed that in. If ever you guys find anything, just find a cast member and hand them. The best cast members to hand it to are typically, if there's a store nearby, hand it to them because they have the phone readily available and they can go. Just a little, park etiquette thing. So anyway, so we walked through the shops, and I could tell that I must be tired and feeling run down because I was like, there wasn't anything really I wanted to buy, or I didn't want to take the time to look, which, is completely like,
you're tired when.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. But of course we went to the confectionery and Megan's like, oh, I want a caramel apple to snack on. And I was like, no, if you get a caramel apple, like, you have to save that till we get home. Like, you can't, like, eat that now or whatever. And then she's like, okay. And she's like, well, then I want cotton candy to eat now. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. But she's like, but I want the caramel apple too. And I'm like, kid, you're killing me. But whatever. We're on vacation. We're having a magical time. So she got her caramel apple for when we got home, and she got her cotton candy, and we got her dad his Mickey Rice Krispie treat and everything. And then we went over to the other side, looked through the Emporium. But again, like, I was like, I was beat. And I knew, again, we're coming back. So like, well, let's head out anyway. So that way we can not get in any mass exodus and do that. So we headed out, and we were going down to the ferry, and we were bummed because, like, they loaded a whole bunch of people into the ferry that was there, and then they cut it off, not right in front of us, but like a couple people in front of us. So we're like, man. But then we realized the second ferry was already there. And so I was like, oh, well, fantastic. So I was like, Megan, as soon as we get on, like, book it all the way to the back. Because for those of you that don't, the ferries don't turn. Like, they just go straight back and forth. So you want to get all the way to the other side so you can be the first people off. Like, so we were rope dropping, getting off the ferry. And we did. We got there. And then we're sitting there, and we're not leaving yet. And we're wondering why we're not leaving yet. And we realized the water pageant.
Oh, yeah. Electrical parade, water parade.
Right, yeah. I always get it mixed up with the Main Street Electrical Parade. But that was coming by. Now, it didn't have, like, the music all playing, but, like, it had the 50th anniversary stuff. So I was like, oh, this is so neat getting to see that. So that was a nice magical one. Then we were getting aggravated because after they let by two of the little boats that I was like, we were here first. I'm tired. But it's like, whatever. And we felt bad because we had heard some people behind us, like, they're like, the last shuttle for our resort leaves at such and such a time. Like, we're going to miss the last shuttle to the resort, because they were staying off property. Like, at least their resort offered transportation, but those off property resorts, they are like, they're timed. They're not running constantly like the ones are. So, like, we felt bad for them, but then we're getting off. And all of a sudden we see this girl, like, booking it. I mean, not fast Disney walk, like, she was booking it. And then some guy goes running after her. And we were like, what the heck? What is that? And, like, some other people were joking, like, should we help her? Like, is he chasing her? Like, whatever. And we're joking, like, she's like, oh yeah, the Joffrey's coffee shop closes in 3 minutes. She's got to get there. But then I realized, I'm like, oh, those are those poor people, like, trying to hopefully catch their shuttle. So I don't know if they made it or not, but yeah. So yeah, we just got to the end there, got on the tram back to the car, and it was just so easy. Like, there was no line of traffic to get out. Like, I'm used to, like, having to wait in a big long line to get on the bus and then get over there. So that was kind of a nice part about having our own vehicle there. So we definitely got back to the hotel we were staying at quicker. But when we got back to the hotel, because it was so late, like all the parking spots, like at the front of the hotel and like on the side of the hotel were gone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like where are we going to park? I didn't realize that this hotel, it's next to a couple hotels. And so they actually had a parking garage around the back. That's complimentary when you're staying at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, thank goodness. So we went and parked back there and got back to the room, and crashed. Like we completely crashed, you know. I realized too when we got back, like I happened to look out the window and we had a theme park view. We could see the Contemporary from
Oh, that's
our
so
room.
cool.
Yeah, and I was like, dang, like, you know, had we gotten to our room a little bit earlier the night before, we could have seen the Magic Kingdom fireworks. Like, I mean, it wasn't like it was like right there, like it was off in the distance, but you know, I was like, oh,
That's
very
so cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, theme park view, fantastic.
Yeah. Without the theme park view price.
Right, I know exactly. Like, it was not like, say, I can't remember how much it was a night because we did pay with points. I want to say it was like maybe $250
Mm-hmm.
a night for those dates, and like it was like a Saturday and Sunday night. So yeah, it was very affordable. And like I said, it's got the free parking. It's got the complimentary breakfast. It wasn't one of those huge breakfasts. Like they had Mickey waffles. Like
Oh, that's cute.
Not the Disney Mickey waffles, you know, those little ones. These were like the Mickey waffles like that we can make at home, sort of. So they had Mickey waffles, and then they had like these to-go like breakfast sandwiches and pre-made omelets, and then like muffins and toast and fruit and yogurt and things like that. But it wasn't one of those ones that had like sausage links and breakfast potatoes.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like a full buffet, but it definitely worked. And we loved it for the next morning because we wanted to get back on the road because I didn't want to get stuck in Atlanta traffic on a Monday. And whatchamacallit. So we just grabbed a couple of the breakfast sandwiches to go in the morning, and we're just able to take right off. So it was fantastic. I mean, they just surprised the daylights out of me. Like, I couldn't believe it. And yeah, I still can't believe it. And from everything that everybody sent me, you know, the trip didn't end up costing much because, you know, like, and I guess, like, I could have gone and, like, bought myself big things. Like, I did buy myself a couple of gifts, and, you know, it was great because, like, we just paid for snacks with it, and, you know, that was so nice. But then it was also nice. It was also nice because we were able to use some of it for gas, you know, and there was some expensive gas on the way down. Like, there were $4.25 a gallon.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
We didn't stop at that one, but, you know, so.
That's awful.
There were those things. So it just made it, you know, magical. Because, of course, like, Megan paid for her ticket end of it, but, you know, it was coming out of Mom and Dad's budget for the rest of it.
Right.
So it was nice that it actually didn't end up costing Mom, you know, the money for it. So
yeah.
And I do have a little bit left over, so I am going to get myself something nice from the Disney store. So
nice.
Thank you, everyone that contributed to that. That just blew me away, you know.
That's so fun.
But
I know. I was so excited for you when you posted about the trip, and then when Megan posted about it, I was like, this is so fun. Like, I just think it's awesome. I'm so glad that they did that and that you got to go.
Yeah. If ever you can do that for anybody, like, I just love surprises, you know, or if you are planning to go to Disney, like, you know, let it be a surprise to the kids, or let it be a surprise to someone. Though I did tease them. I'm like, but next time, maybe plan it a little ahead and, you know, contact one of my agents so, like, you know, they can take care of everything. Because I'm like, yeah, who are these crazy people trying to go to Disney on a weekend during the middle of Disney's literally busiest week besides Christmas? I'm like, we got so lucky that was still available. Like,
absolutely.
So lucky. So yeah, I was like, this is why you use a travel agent. You know? I was like, that's ridiculous.
So being that it was spring break and the parks the reservations were booked, how were the crowds? Like, was it manageable? Was it very crowded?
It was so manageable. Like to me, it didn't feel super crowded. Now, mind you, we weren't in the crowd for the fireworks, so it wasn't like that. We weren't on the Main Street area like when the parade was coming by. We didn't even get to see Festival of Fantasy. We were going to do that next trip. But it wasn't bad at all. Like, even walking through Epcot, through the World Showcase, I felt like in January when I was there for the Festival of the Arts, it was way more crowded than just trying to maneuver and walk through. Now, mind you, we did just do the one side of it, but I mean, that's still a pretty popular side. Like, you know, the whole side of it is popular. But yeah, like there wasn't those big, huge crowds. I felt like the lines weren't as long for the food booths and everything. It could have been the timing. You know, it could have been because it was earlier in the day instead of later in the day, like when people are wanting dinner or whatever. But I felt it was really manageable. And, you know, we were able to get and really take advantage of the Lightning Lane situation. Like, it worked out very well. I mean, we weren't doing some of the big rides, but we still got to do the big rides that we wanted to. And I mean, there were still Lightning Lanes available for like Splash Mountain or Space Mountain. We just didn't select them because that's not what my kid wanted to ride.
Right.
Oh, and I wasn't going to try to force her on that. Like, that would have made a miserable trip for me.
Right.
I didn't take note of it when I was there because I didn't even notice it. Like, it wasn't. Normally I notice those things. So yeah, it was manageable. I was very surprised.
Yeah, I think that's good to know too for people who are kind of worried about traveling to Disney, being that it's so booked up that they're worried it might be too crowded. But I also think bringing back some of the characters, the parade, it really filters the park so that the rides won't be so busy in certain areas, unless you're at that like at the parade, at the fireworks. It should be fine.
Right. And like, even for the character meet and greets, because like, you know, the Princess Fairy Tale Hall is back up and running, and like, I guess some people might not be going because you can't go up and hug them or whatever, but you can still go in and meet them and have great interactions with them. And the wait times were like 25 minutes, 35 minutes, which, I mean, if you were at Disney pre-COVID and everything, that is nothing compared to what they were before. And I just feel like they have the characters out so much more. Like, so they have the Festival of Fantasy parade is going now. They still have the cavalcades multiple times during the day going through. And then they have the characters coming out at the train station. You know, they have the princess meet and greets. And then even like at Epcot, you know, characters were out all over there. Like, we saw Alice, I've seen Mary Poppins, we saw Winnie the Pooh, we saw, I didn't mention it, but like we saw Sleeping Beauty, we saw Jasmine was out. You know, we could have gone over and seen Anna and Ilsa. So they're out there, you know. Clearly it wasn't that busy, you know, and obviously like we made the choice to spend a little bit extra money and do the individual Lightning Lane for Flight of Passage, but that was our choice, and like because we definitely wanted to do that. Of course, we could have just planned differently and rope dropped that one, but we didn't. Like, we did our thing. And we counted it up. So we were at the parks for 14 hours. We rode 18 attractions.
In 3 parks.
3 parks. Stopped and had food. And like, we weren't like, go running. Well, except for trying to get for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train before the fireworks ended. But like, we stopped and enjoyed things. We stopped at multiple PhotoPass photographers, taking pictures, doing magic shots. We were looking at the topiaries. They have this little hunt for this little bee at Epcot. So Megan was then trying to find the bee and all the things. And I was like, oh, you know, Megan, when we're there next time, like, there's actually a thing that you can buy. And if you find all the bees, you put these stickers on it, and then you get a little prize at the end, you know? So she's like, oh, we're definitely doing that next time. So like, we were taking our time and enjoying things. We weren't just rush.
Yeah.
We walked, what was it, 29,000 steps. It was
my gosh.
14 miles. So yeah, it was ridiculous. Like, I've never had a day that went that easily at the parks. Like, I just couldn't believe it. 'Cause like, you gotta understand, like, like, things don't always go as smooth as you would like them to go. Things change, and you have to kind of go with the flow. And things did change, and we went with the flow, but it all worked out. It was
a good flow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I had to warn her. I'm like, our trip in June is not going to be like this. I'm not doing, hours in the parks. I'm like, we're gonna plan it out and plan our must do's, and I have a little surprise. I know she's not going to listen to this because it's not on TikTok.
Yep.
But she loves Animal Kingdom, and the tours have returned. So there's kind of this awesome, like, behind the scenes, like, where you get to go on that little rope bridge thing that you see over the alligators and everything.
Oh, y'all are doing that?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
my gosh.
I mean, I can't book it yet. It has to be, we got to do it 60 days before. You get lunch and everything, and you get to go see the animals. So she doesn't know that yet. Well, I haven't told her because I wanted to make sure I got it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to surprise her with that when we're there.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to have y'all on to talk about that because I want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a totally different trip because, like, we're down there for a week. Half the week is for volleyball, so there's going to be, like, 4 days I'm not going to the parks.
Yeah.
But we're staying at a Disney hotel, so we're doing that. We're staying in the room that you and Amelia stayed at, the Royal rooms. So I'm super excited because I've never stayed in those rooms.
You're gonna love it.
I'm looking forward to that one. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting trip, but not 14 hours and 29,000 steps and 18 attractions. So I was like, we're gonna slow it down a little bit.
Yep. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed Becky and Megan's whirlwind of a vacation as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe to the show so you never miss a new episode. If you're traveling to Disney and want to come on the show to share your travel tale, let me know. I'm currently looking for guests traveling at the end of April and beyond. See the show notes for a form to fill out. Next week, we have a different kind of travel tale, so stay tuned. Until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams become a reality.